My husband slept with my sister. I slept with his brother. I used to believe that forgiveness could fix anything, until betrayal moved into my home and made itself comfortable. This isn't just a story about revenge. It's a story about broken trust, torn bloodlines, and the kind of pain that turns love into something dangerous. The night I found them together was the night I stopped being a wife, and became something else entirely. And yes, I got even. But the aftermath? It cost us more than we ever imagined. To all my amazing subscribers, thank you for the love and support. You're the reason I keep telling these stories. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss a moment. Every view, like, and share helps me bring more powerful and dramatic life stories to this space. Let's dive in. My name is Lena Matthews, and this is not a story I ever imagined telling, not out loud, not to strangers, and certainly not to the world. But sometimes, keeping pain to yourself is worse than sharing it. Because silence can drown you. And me? I nearly drowned in mine. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. Born and raised. Small town life. Church on Sundays. Barbecues in the summer. Marrying your high school sweetheart was something you just did. And I did. I married Jason Matthews when I was 22. He was the quarterback turned auto mechanic. Big smile, bigger heart, or so I thought. We had a quiet little life. A modest home, 2 golden retrievers, and talk of starting a family. We weren't rich, but we had what I thought mattered: love, trust, laughter. Or at least, I believed that until the day my world cracked wide open. Jason had always been close with my sister, Emily. She's 2 years younger than me. Prettier, skinnier, always had that sparkle. The kind of girl people noticed when she walked into a room. We were close too, shared clothes, secrets, even a bedroom growing up. She cried on my shoulder when her college boyfriend cheated on her. I helped her move when she got her first apartment. I never imagined she could become the villain in my story. It started with whispers. Not from people, no, just little gut feelings I kept pushing down. Jason had started staying late at work more often. He'd laugh at messages I couldn't see. He changed his phone password. And whenever Emily came around, more often than usual, I might add, his whole body language shifted. Just subtle things. A longer hug. Too many glances. A quietness that crept into our bedroom at night. But love makes you blind. And I was willfully blind. I told myself I was being paranoid. I blamed my stress. I even convinced myself that maybe I wasn't doing enough as a wife. That maybe Jason was just going through something he didn't know how to say. Until one Tuesday night. I remember it like it was stitched into my memory. Rain pounding on the roof. I was curled up on the couch, wearing one of Jason's old hoodies, half asleep to the sound of late-night TV. Jason was in the shower. His phone, for once, left on the coffee table. Unlocked. Open. It buzzed. I didn't mean to look. At least, that's what I told myself as I picked it up. The message preview was from Emily. Same time Thursday? I can't stop thinking about last night. My heart stopped. My body went cold. I clicked it. I clicked it all. Thread after thread. Photos. Flirty messages. Inside jokes. And worse, descriptions. Detailed ones. About what they did when I thought he was at work. How she felt so alive with him. How he said he wished he'd met her first. My ears rang. My vision blurred. It felt like something inside me broke into pieces I'd never be able to put back. I sat there, shaking, staring at the messages as the shower kept running. I didn't scream. I didn't throw his phone. I didn't even cry, not yet. When Jason walked out in a towel, he saw me sitting there holding his phone. He froze. We locked eyes. And just like that, he knew. No lies could save him now. All I said was, "How long?" He didn't deny it. He didn't bother with some sorry excuse. He looked down at the floor and whispered, "A few months." A few months. My husband. My sister. Behind my back. Under my nose. In the middle of my life. I stood up and walked past him like he wasn't even there. I locked myself in the guest bedroom. And that's where I stayed for the next 2 days. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every family dinner, every weekend Emily came by to hang out. Every time I left the room and came back to find them laughing. How blind had I been? My phone buzzed. It was Emily. A message. "Lena, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen." Didn't mean for what to happen? The affair or the fact that I found out? I didn't respond. Instead, I threw my phone across the room. That's when I started writing. I wrote everything. The hurt. The betrayal. The memory of the way Jason used to kiss me like he couldn't live without me, and how I now knew he was kissing her behind my back. And the more I wrote, the angrier I got. Not just at them. But at me, for loving blindly, for trusting fully. For being the kind of woman who gave everything, while they took and took until I had nothing left. The next week, I left the house. I packed a bag, drove out to the edge of town, and checked into a quiet little motel off Route 60. It wasn't running away, it was breathing space. I needed time to think. To feel. To not be her, the wife who got cheated on. The sister who got betrayed. I needed to be me again. And that's where something unexpected happened. Because on the second night, I got a knock on my motel door. It was Aaron, Jason's older brother. And he knew everything. If you told me a year ago that my marriage would fall apart at the hands of my own sister, I would have laughed in your face. Emily wasn't just my sister, she was my best friend. She was the one person I thought I could count on no matter what. I trusted her with my secrets, my fears, and my life. I trusted her with my husband, and she used that trust like a match to burn it all to the ground. After I found the messages, I shut everyone out. I didn't answer calls. I didn't respond to texts. I disappeared, just for a little while. I needed to breathe. But I also needed to disappear from the shame, the whispers, the looks I knew were coming. But Aaron found me. Let me tell you a little about Aaron Matthews, Jason's older brother. He was quieter than Jason, more serious. A little rough around the edges, with a dry wit and eyes that always looked like they'd seen more than he was willing to say. He'd served overseas for a few years and came back with scars he didn't talk about. While Jason had been the golden boy, the charming husband, Aaron was the guy who stayed in the background. I didn't even know how he found me at that motel, but there he was, standing at my door in jeans and a flannel, holding a six-pack like we were old friends meeting up to share Heartbreak. I opened the door. "Aaron?" His face was tight. "I heard. About Jason. About Emily." I didn't say a word. I stepped aside and let him in. We sat on the edge of the bed, beer bottles resting on the side table between us. I hadn't said it out loud to anyone until then. They betrayed me. He looked at me for a long second and nodded. Yeah. They did. That's all it took. Those simple words broke something loose in me. I cried, not the quiet, delicate kind of crying. I broke. Ugly sobs. Curled in on myself like if I could fold up small enough, I could disappear from the pain. Aaron didn't try to stop it. He didn't say it would be okay. He just sat there, steady and solid, and let me unravel. After a while, he said something I'll never forget. "I always thought Jason had everything. The girl, the house, the future. But he didn't know what the hell he had." I looked up, tears streaking my cheeks. "Why are you here, Aaron?" He shrugged. "Because you didn't deserve what happened." And because someone needed to tell you that. That night, he stayed. Not in a romantic way. Not yet. He slept on the couch in the motel room, keeping watch like I was some kind of fragile thing that needed guarding. And maybe I did. For the first time in days, I felt like I wasn't alone. The next morning, he made coffee, left quietly, and said, "Call me if you need anything." I didn't realize it then, but Aaron had planted a seed. And while I was still grieving the loss of my marriage and the sting of betrayal, part of me started to feel something else. Something dangerous. Something like possibility. A few days later, I went back to the house. Not to move in, but to grab more clothes and documents I'd forgotten. Jason wasn't home. Thank God. But Emily was. She was waiting on the porch like a damn ghost. "Lena," she started, stepping toward me, "please, can we talk?" I didn't even answer. I walked right past her, keys in hand. But she followed me inside like she still had a right to. "I never meant for this to happen," she said, voice trembling. I turned slowly. "You didn't mean to sleep with my husband? You just tripped and fell into his bed?" Her face crumpled. "We were both in a bad place. Jason said you were distant. That things weren't working between you." I actually laughed. Bitter and raw. "So you decided to fix our marriage by sleeping with him?" Genius. "He told me he loved me." "Of course he did. That's what liars do." She took a deep breath. "You don't understand, Lena. I didn't go looking for this. It just happened." I stepped closer, voice low and sharp. "You're my sister. My blood. And you knew exactly what you were doing. Every step of the way." Emily looked away. "I'm sorry." "No, you're not," I whispered. "You're just sorry you got caught." That was the last time I spoke to her. I didn't slam the door when I left. I didn't cry again. Something inside me had shifted. I didn't want to fix things. I didn't want to understand them. I wanted to reclaim the pieces of myself that Jason and Emily had shattered. And I wanted revenge. It started simple. I called Aaron. Asked if he wanted to meet for dinner. "Just to talk," I said. But it wasn't just talking. I wore red lipstick. I wore the dress Jason always said was too much for a Tuesday night. And when Aaron looked at me across the table like I was a woman again, not just a broken wife, I knew what I was doing. He didn't resist. He never once asked me if I was sure. When I kissed him in the parking lot, it was like setting fire to everything I used to be. When we ended up in his truck, and then his bed, and then tangled in sheets that smelled like pine and redemption, I didn't feel guilty. I felt powerful. I had been shattered. And now I was taking back control, one broken rule at a time. Was it wrong? Maybe. But so was everything Jason and Emily had done. The difference was, I wasn't hiding it. And I had no plans to stop. If there's one thing I've learned from betrayal, it's that pain can either paralyze you or fuel you. I chose the second. I wasn't the same Lena who baked cookies for Jason's office potlucks and sent my sister care packages for no reason. That version of me had died the day I found those messages. What rose from those ashes was someone I hadn't met before, someone raw, sharp-edged, and unapologetically angry. And Aaron? He didn't just become my comfort. He became my weapon. Let me be clear, I didn't plan for it to happen like that. I didn't go into his arms thinking, "I'll sleep with his brother to even the score." It started as something else. A desperate grasp at closeness, a desire to feel wanted after being discarded. But the more I let myself feel, the more I realized this wasn't just comfort anymore. It was power. The night after our first time, Aaron drove me back to his place again. His house was smaller than ours, quiet, dark wood everywhere, and smelled like cedar and soap. He didn't say much. Neither did I. But as I sat on his couch, curled up in his old flannel shirt, I looked at him and said, "You know this is going to blow everything up, right?" He was sitting on the edge of the armrest, lighting a cigarette. It already did. We both knew what we were doing. This wasn't love. It wasn't healing. It was retaliation. Beautiful, messy, fiery revenge. "You hate him, don't you?" I asked. Aaron didn't answer for a long moment. Then he blew out a stream of smoke and said, "I hate how he gets away with everything. He got the easy road. The house. The business. You. You think he got me?" I whispered. "He never had me." Our eyes locked. And just like that, we were tangled again, on the floor this time, lost in a storm of anger and heat and breathless passion. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't sweet. It was wild and loud and left bruises on my skin that I wore like armor. A few days later, I went home, to the house Jason and I once shared. I didn't tell him I was coming. I didn't knock. My name was still on the mortgage, after all. He was sitting in the kitchen, shirtless, drinking coffee like the world hadn't shifted beneath our feet. He froze when he saw me. "Lena." I dropped my keys on the counter. "Morning." There was an awkward silence, the kind that fills the cracks in a place that used to be warm. "I didn't think you'd come back," he said. "I'm not. Just picking up the last of my things." Jason rubbed the back of his neck. "Look, I know I messed up. God, I don't even know how to explain it. Emily and it was a mistake." I turned slowly. "One time? What? Did it happen just once?" He hesitated. And that pause was all the answer I needed. I stepped closer. "You didn't just trip and fall into my sister, Jason. This was months. You lied to me every single day." He looked ashamed. "That used to mean something to me. It didn't anymore." "Where is she now?" I asked. "Playing house in someone else's bed?" "She left town. Said she couldn't face what she did." I gave a humorless laugh. "Good. Neither can I." He looked at me then, a trace of hope flashing in his eyes. "We can try again. Fix this. I'll do whatever it takes." That's when I did something bold. Reckless. Wicked. I leaned in, just inches from his face, and said, "I already am fixing it. With Aaron." Jason blinked. "What?" "You heard me. Your brother. We've been spending some quality time together." His face went pale. I stepped back, savoring the expression that crossed his face: shock, betrayal, disbelief. "You slept with my brother?" I tilted my head. "You slept with my sister. Seemed fair." "Lena," he started, voice rising. I didn't let him finish. "I gave you everything, Jason. My love, my trust, my years. You threw it all away for something cheap and secret. So don't you dare stand there and act like I'm the villain now." He punched the counter so hard the coffee mug shattered. But I didn't flinch. I turned and walked out. I didn't look back. After that, things changed quickly. Jason tried to call. I ignored him. Emily texted me from some unknown number. "You went too far." I blocked her. Aaron became a regular part of my nights. He never pushed for more. He never asked for a future. But somewhere in between the late-night drives, the breathless silences, and the tangled sheets, I started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, this war I started had become something more. I wasn't sure if I was healing or just surviving. But I knew one thing. For the first time in months, I felt alive again. And I wasn't finished yet. It's one thing to know a bomb is coming. It's another to hear it explode. Jason didn't stay quiet for long. After I told him about Aaron, I knew he'd react. I just underestimated how far he'd go to make a mess of everything. Because when a man is wounded in pride and ego, especially by a woman he thought would never fight back, he doesn't aim for peace. He aims for destruction. And he started with Aaron. It began with a phone call. Aaron was supposed to pick me up that night. I waited outside my little rental on Eastland Drive, the air sticky with Kentucky heat, my hair tied up, wearing that red cotton dress he liked. But when he didn't show, I called. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. Then, around midnight, my phone buzzed with a single message, "Come to the shop. Now." I grabbed my keys and drove without thinking. Aaron worked at Jason's old auto shop. He had a set of keys, helped out from time to time even though he hated being part of the family business. When I got there, I saw his truck parked out front. The garage doors were closed, but the side door was cracked open, a light spilling out. I stepped inside. And there they were, Jason and Aaron, face to face, fists clenched, shouting like animals. "You crossed a line, man," Jason roared. "My wife? You mean the wife you cheated on with her sister?" Aaron shot back. Jason charged him, and they went down hard, metal tools crashing, shelves rattling. I screamed their names, but neither heard me. I ran over and grabbed Jason's arm, yanking him back. "Stop it. Just stop." His eyes burned as he stared at me. "You did this. You chose him." "I chose myself," I snapped. Aaron stood up, wiping blood from his lip. "This was never about you. It was about how you treat people like they're disposable. Lena was your wife, and you didn't even see her." Jason looked at me then, not angry. Not proud. Just broken. I could see it now. For the first time, he realized what he'd lost. And it wasn't just a marriage. It was the last shred of decency he'd been pretending to have. The next morning, everything unraveled. Jason went nuclear. He told everyone. Our families. His coworkers. Friends at church. He painted me as the one who destroyed everything, conveniently forgetting to mention Emily's name in the process. My phone blew up. Half the people were shocked. The other half pretended to be shocked but had probably been waiting for the drama. You'd think I was the one who broke vows first. My mother called me crying. "Lena, what are you doing with your life? Sleeping with your husband's brother?" I snapped. "You mean like how Jason slept with your other daughter?" She went silent. Yeah. That shut her up. But the worst came later that week, when Jason showed up to my place, uninvited. He looked tired. Unshaven. Still wearing his work shirt, grease stains, and all. "I just want to talk," he said. I didn't want to let him in. But curiosity won. He sat on the edge of the couch like he didn't belong. He didn't. "You really gonna be with him?" he asked. "Like, for real?" I looked him dead in the eye. "Does it matter?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah. Because I need to know what I lost." I tilted my head. "You lost me, Jason. Long before Aaron ever touched me." He swallowed hard. "I miss you." I stood up. "You miss control. You miss having me in your corner while you lied behind my back." He stood too close. Too close. "You're not like this. You were never this cold." I smirked. "You don't get to decide who I am anymore." He left without another word. And that night, for the first time, I cried for what could have been. Not because I wanted it back. But because it wasn't supposed to end like this. Aaron came over a few days later, after things had settled into a strange, tense silence. He brought dinner, Chinese takeout, our unspoken peace offering. We ate on the floor, leaning against the couch, sharing bites and laughs between quiet moments. Do you regret it?" I asked suddenly. He looked up. "Which part?" This. Us. Aaron set his chopsticks down. No. Do you? I shook my head. No. But I don't know what we're doing anymore. He nodded. That makes two of us. For a while, we sat in silence, letting the weight of everything hang between us. The mess. The consequences. The truth. He reached over, gently brushing his fingers against mine. I didn't mean to fall for you, he said. I didn't answer. Because deep down, I wasn't sure if I had fallen for him back, or just for the feeling of being seen again. Fallout doesn't just break people. It reshapes them. I wasn't trying to rebuild what Jason and I had. I was trying to become someone new. Someone who didn't beg to be loved. Someone who demanded it. And if that meant burning down everything that came before, then let it burn. It doesn't just leave you broken, it reshapes your soul. You start asking questions you never thought you'd need to ask. Who am I without him? Who am I without her? And finally, was any of it real? When all the shouting stops and the lies lay bare, you're left in silence. Just you. Just the truth. And what remains? A few months had passed. The dust had mostly settled. Jason and I were officially divorced. No messy court battles. No dramatic courtroom scenes. Just a couple signatures, and 17 years of marriage were over with the swipe of a pen. He got the house. I didn't care. That place had too many ghosts anyway. I kept my car, my clothes, my peace. And Aaron? Well, that part didn't come with clarity. Not right away. Aaron and I tried to be something. We went on dates. Spent quiet nights watching reruns of The Office. Ate greasy diner food at midnight like high school kids. But no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't ignore the shadow that followed us everywhere, Jason. It was like living with a third presence in the room. Every laugh, every kiss, every touch carried weight. Because he wasn't just my ex-husband. He was Aaron's brother. One night, after dinner, we sat on my porch under the string lights I'd hung up myself. The cicadas were buzzing, and Aaron looked more tired than usual. I talked to my mom today, he said. Yeah? She said she doesn't want me at Thanksgiving if I'm still seeing you. I blinked. Wow. She said it's unnatural. That I betrayed blood. I let out a bitter laugh. That's rich. Did she have the same speech for Jason and Emily? He shook his head. Of course not. Emily's still their golden girl. That hurt more than I wanted it to. The truth is, after everything that happened, Emily never even apologized. Not once. Not a text. Not a call. Nothing. I heard through the grapevine she moved to Nashville. Good. Let her start over in a city where no one knew what she'd done. Aaron reached for my hand. I don't regret you, Lena. But this isn't easy. I squeezed his fingers. I know. I don't regret you either. But maybe we were built from too much brokenness. That night, we didn't sleep together. We didn't even kiss goodbye. Weeks passed. We drifted. And I realized something. I didn't need to hold on to Aaron just because Jason let me go. What I really needed was to hold on to myself. I started rebuilding. Not for revenge. Not to prove a point. Just, for me. I got a job at a local bookstore. It didn't pay much, but the smell of paper and quiet hum of soft jazz gave me peace I hadn't felt in years. I took walks in the mornings. Learned to make my own coffee instead of relying on Jason's perfect brew. I read poetry again. I sat on park benches and watched strangers like they were stories waiting to be written. And one Sunday, I went to the farmer's market and bought a single sunflower. I placed it in a vase in the middle of my kitchen table. Just because. One evening, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. It was from Jason. The handwriting was still the same. Slanted. Sharp. Tired. It read. Lena. I don't expect forgiveness. I wouldn't know what to do with it if you gave it to me. But I wanted to say this: you didn't deserve what I did. You were loyal. You were patient. And I was a coward. Emily was a mistake. One I'll carry for the rest of my life. I hope you find peace. I hope you already have. J. I stared at the letter for a long time. Then I folded it up, tucked it in the drawer with old photos I hadn't yet burned. Because while I wasn't ready to forgive him, I was ready to let it go. So, what remains? Not the marriage. Not the sisterhood. Not even the affair. What remains is me. Stronger. Wiser. A little scarred, sure, but finally whole. I've learned that revenge doesn't heal you. It only highlights the pain. But standing up for yourself? Walking away from what no longer serves you? That's power. That's freedom. And that is love. The kind you give yourself when everyone else lets you down. Thank you to all my subscribers for taking this wild, dramatic journey with me. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. I've got more raw, emotional, and unforgettable stories coming your way. Because life is messy. Love is complicated. But every scar tells a story. That's the end.